Mm. Crock-Pot hot chocolate is the superior hot chocolate. And I'm avoiding making myself a coffee because I'm exhausted, like pre-holiday season. And hot chocolate's just where it's at right now. So, if you want the recipe, here it is. Pause and screenshot it. It is seriously the best hot chocolate you will ever have. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Hi guys, we're back with another one, and today we are going to talk about 24 books that I want to prioritize going into 2024, which it is crazy that we're saying that because I feel like this year, actually, it kind of flew by, but it kind of went really slow at the same time. I'm like on the fence about it, but overall I feel like it went pretty quickly. So I wanted to go ahead and just like look at my bookshelves and say, I'm obviously going to read other books, but what are the books that I had wanted to get to this year and just either didn't find the time to or was like admittedly kind of intimidated by, and what books do I really just at the end of 2024 do I want to look at my like read list and say, you did that. You finally knocked those off your list. So admittedly, most of these books I'm far behind on. Like some of these are older. You're going to be like, girl, these are old news, but doesn't change the fact that I haven't read them. So let's talk about the 24 books that I want to prioritize going into 2024. Also, separate, but you are absolutely going to hear my son screaming like a banshee upstairs. He and his friends are playing a game on the Oculus, like the virtual reality thingy-mabobber, the little stupid goggle things. And he somehow forgets that he could just talk in a random voice, like a regular voice. He starts screaming, so you're gonna hear him yelling and screaming to his friends on the silly Oculus. I swear to God, he's fine. He's playing baseball. So if any of you have a 9-year-old boy, you get it. So anyways, separate story, but the first book I want to prioritize in 2024 is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. When I tell you that I want to prioritize these books, but I know next to nothing about them, part of that's on purpose because as we have discussed, I do like to go into books pretty blind. My theory is if you know everything that happens in the book, what's the point of reading it? I think this is like a vampire romance. It says, a maiden, a duty, a kingdom. Chosen from birth to usher in a new era, Poppy's life has never been her own. The life of the maiden is solitary, never to be touched, never to be looked upon, never to be spoken to, never to experience pleasure. Waiting for the day of her ascension, she would rather be with the guards, fighting back the evil that took her family, than preparing to be found worthy by the gods. But the choice has never been hers. The entire kingdom's future rests on Poppy's shoulders. Something she's not even quite sure she wants for herself, because a maiden has a heart and a soul and a longing, and when Hawk, a golden-eyed guard, honor-bound to ensure her ascension, enters her life, destiny and duty become entangled with desire and need. He incites her anger, makes her question everything she believes in, and tempts her with the forbidden. Okay, maybe this isn't vampires. I don't know where I got that. I told you. I don't know. But this actually is an older series, and I own all of them, and yet somehow haven't read any of them. But I know this has like a serious cult following, so definitely want to prioritize From Blood and Ash. Okay, so the next book that I want to prioritize is Blood Mercy by Vella Roth. You know what? I feel like you're going to sense a theme, but once again, know next to nothing about this. And actually, I do, before you guys like comment below, I do know that there are 2 very short novellas. I think it's like Scepter and Sword that go before this, and I most likely will read them. But I picked this up without knowing that. And from what I understand, you don't have to read them. They just give you more context for this book. So I'm going to keep this on here because this is like the meat of the book that I actually want to get to. But admittedly, I'm rolling. But admittedly, I probably will read the 2 novellas before I get to this. So it says, one human, one immortal. Will their alliance save the kingdom, or will their forbidden love be a death sentence? When Cassius seeks out a Hesperine, I need to look this up too. What the heck is a Hesperine? 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 Hesperine. Is that a vampire? Should we look this up in live time? Hold, please. Okay. We are back. Let's see what is that? I don't even know what that is. Hesperine. It's not even, what is that? Okay. What is a hesperine? Should I Instagram Bella Roth herself and say, hey girl, hey, what is a hesperine? Hesperine? Hesperine name, blood sanctuary part 1. Okay, wait. We might be onto something here. Hesperine. No, I don't want to look up spoilers. A high fantasy twist on vampires. That's the only thing I could find. Can you guys do me a favor? Comment below what your definition of hesperine is, because apparently the internet doesn't know. I have messaged Bella Roth. We will see if she gets back to me. And the only thing I could find is that in this book, a hesperine is a high fantasy version of vampires. And he looks like he has some vampire toothies on him. So we're going to go with he's a vampire. So, sure, whatever. When Cassius seeks out a hesperine vampire thingamabobber, he could end her mortal life in a heartbeat, but she has no fear of his magic or his fangs. See? Told you. She knows the real monster is the human king, her father. If he finds out she's bargaining with his enemy, he'll send her to the executioner. This is a very, very big book. And the writing is pretty small, but I definitely do want to get to Blood Mercy because I've heard really good things about it. Okay, next I want to get to Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I have actually never read a book by V.E. Schwab, and I'm really excited about it. I know most people start with Addie LaRue, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. That book I've heard mixed feelings about. I've heard some people say it's like life-changing and some people say it's too slow. And for some reason, it's just like it never calls to me. Like it's not something that I'm like, I have got to prioritize that. But this calls to me. I believe that this is about a couple of college students that are studying extraordinary human beings, I think. Yeah, Victor and Eli started out as college roommates, brilliant, arrogant, lonely boys who recognized the same sharpness and ambition in each other. In their senior year, a shared research interest in adrenaline, near-death experiences, and seemingly supernatural events reveals an intriguing possibility that under the right conditions, someone could develop extraordinary abilities. But when their thesis moves from the academic to the experimental, things go horribly wrong. So there is a second to this, which is vengeful, and I've heard that this duology is really incredible. Next is Billy Summers by Stephen King. I have never read a Stephen King book. I have several of them on my shelves. I know that I want to get into Mr. Mercedes and that entire series. However, something about Billy Summers, I think it's because I know Haley went through like a Stephen King era and loved it, and then I believe inspired Destiny to read this and she really liked it. So for some reason, it calls to me. The cover is really cool. I know some people that really like it. Actually, Stephen King is one of my best friend's favorite authors of all time. I'm pretty sure she's still slowly working his way through his works, but she loves Stephen King. I've never read anything by him, which is kind of sacrilege if you're a reader. So it says, chances are, if you're a target of Billy Summers, two immutable truths apply. You'll never even know what hit you, and you're really getting what you deserve. He's a killer for hire and the best in the business, but he'll do the job only if the assignment is a truly bad person. But now time is catching up with him, and Billy wants out. Before he could do that, though, there's one last hit, which promises a generous payday at the end of the line, even as things don't seem quite on the level here. Given that Billy is among the most talented snipers in the world, a decorated Iraq war veteran, and a virtual Houdini when it comes to vanishing after the job is done, what could possibly go wrong? How about everything? So, assassin story? Sounds good. And it'll knock Stephen King off of my list of authors I want to read in 2024. Next up is the iconic Brandon Sanderson, however you would like to call him. This is his Mistborn series. I have an entire section of my shelves dedicated to Brandon Sanderson. I have his Kickstarters, I have his Skyward, which is his YA series. I have, let's see, I think, what else do I have by him? Oh, yeah, besides for that, I have like what is it? I don't even remember what it's called. I'll put it right here. But I have that as well on my Kindle, the entire series, but I've never actually picked him up because I am intimidated as all hell by him. His books are long, his series are complex, but I have heard that if you could dig your heels in and just get through it, he will change your life with his writing, and it's amazing. So I think I want to start with Mistborn, which is his iconic series. And it says, "The mist rules the world. The Lord Ruler owns..." Does not say that at all. It actually says, "The mist rule the night. The Lord Ruler owns the world." God. "Once a hero arose to save the world, he failed. Ever since, the world has been a wasteland of ash and mist controlled by the immortal emperor known as the Lord Ruler. But hope survives. A new uprising is forming, one built around the ultimate caper, the cunning of a brilliant criminal mastermind, and the determination of an unlikely heroine, a street urchin who must learn to master the power of a Mistborn." Sounds pretty good. This is one of the most beautiful, the floppiest paperbacks I own. There is something about a Brandon Sanderson paperback that is just like, ugh, it just does things for me. Like, that is absolutely beautiful. The writing is really tiny, but man, is this book assembled and bound well. And the cover is beautiful, so prioritizing that in 2024 for sure. Oh, this next one is a little bit out of left field, and I'm going to be interested as to how many of you have actually even heard of this book, because despite the fact that this is, from what I understand, a pretty iconic series and has like a massive cult following, I literally never hear anybody talking about this. I found this author because one of her like posts or something came up as suggested for me on Instagram, and it was such a well done like post that it intrigued me so much I bought the entire series. But yet I somehow have never heard anybody talk about it, but I feel like it has a really high rating and a lot of ratings on Goodreads. So that is More of Us to the West by Trinity Dunn. This book is also huge and pretty floppy, relatively floppy. Not Brandon Sanderson floppy, but relatively floppy. But listen to how intriguing this sounds. Are you ready? This is the reason why I'm constantly distracted.
Hi, viewers.
They can hear you screaming on your silly kitty game to all your friends.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you, screaming on your silly kitty game. And you are covered in chocolate.
Mm-hmm. That's just what I do.
Did any of it make it in your mouth?
I haven't even had my hot chocolate.
Well, then what did you... Oh, is that gingerbread? We did gingerbread houses. Mm-hmm. Is that gingerbread house?
Yeah.
Nice.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Oh, you're sweet. Now be gone. Back to your silly kitty game. All right, can I finish this now? Do I have your permission?
Yes.
Keep your voice down, loud person.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyways, this says, "I wanted to disappear, and then I did. On a trip to reignite the spark in her marriage, Elena Grace's upgraded first-class ticket places her far from her husband and next to the notorious Jack Vollmer, a former teen actor who'd previously hung on posters in her childhood bedroom. When an unusual storm forces their plane out of the sky, her ticket will save her life and require her to question everything. Ripped from the comforts of her world and injured, Elena finds herself on an island in the middle of the Pacific, completely separated from her husband among 11 strangers. Seeking comfort in the presence of the single familiar face, Elena quickly finds herself torn between her past and her present, between two loves and two contrasting worlds. As they navigate life on the island, they uncover mystery around the storm they encountered and begin to question whether it was indeed a storm at all. In this new foreign place, as they search for signs of rescue, these strangers will find adventure, hidden secrets, and in each other family." How good does that sound? How is no one talking about this? I'm super excited to get into this. I think it's the Adrift series. Yeah. Book 1 in the Adrift series. I don't know how many books there are, but I know I own 2 of them. So I'm really excited to get to this. Okay, it's finally going to happen in 2024. I am going to read the Throne of Glass series, and there's actually a reason for this. So I've obviously finished ACOTAR, obsessed, one of my favorite series on the planet, like 2 or 3, possibly 4 of those books, got 5 stars from me. Awesome. However, I really am excited and have on pre-order the 3rd book in the Crescent City series. However, I have heard that before you get into Crescent City, you really should read Throne of Glass. Sounds great, except for the fact that it's one of the largest series ever outside of like Shadowhunters, which I also want to get to. That did not make this list in this video, spoiler, but also a series I want to get to, but I am going to choose to start my Throne of Glass journey with Assassin's Blade because from all the research I've done, this seems like the way that I would want to read it. I've heard that if you read this third, it is kind of repetitive and something in the first book kind of gives away something, I think, in one of these stories. I don't know. It just is the way that seems to make the most sense for me, so I am going to start with Assassin's Blade. And in true Lindsay fashion, I don't know anything that happens in this book. I know Selena, I think it's Selena Sardathian. Yeah, Selena Sardathian is the main character. I think she's an assassin. I don't really want to know too much about Throne of Glass. Like, anytime I see any of the book girlies start talking about how they're reading Throne of Glass, I fast forward because I don't want anything spoiled for me, and you never know what people are going to say. So I'm going to get into Assassin's Blade in 2024. Okay, moving right along. The next book I want to read, I actually do not own in person, but I do have the entire series on my Kindle, and that is Mile High by Liz Tomford. Everyone has read this. I've heard this get very mixed reviews. I've seen some people say this is 5 stars and other people say this is like a DNF. I can't even go into it. All that I know about this book is that he is a grumpy professional hockey player and she is the flight attendant on his team's private plane, I believe. And there's a little love story. I have heard that he verges on, like, I've told you there's like a very thin line between like grumpy and broody and just like a straight up asshole. And I've heard he's kind of like an alpha hole. So we'll see where he falls for me. But I do definitely want to get into Mile High because I'm so behind on this series and everyone absolutely adores the second and the third book, which is The Right Move and Caught Up. So I want to start with Mile High. Next, Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This book, I think this is like kind of like gothic, and am I correct in saying that I think this borders on horror? I don't really know, but it says the most fun you'll ever have with a skeleton. Okay, I'm intrigued. The Emperor needs necromancers. The 9th necromancer needs a swordswoman. I believe, isn't a necromancer someone who can bring people from the dead? Yet another word I'm going to have to look up. I don't know. But the 9th necromancer needs a swordswoman. Gideon has a sword, some dirty magazines, and no more time for undead nonsense. That's literally all it says. But listen, this is another book that has a cult following, and I own the entire series, so I want to get into it. Next is Heavenly Bodies by Imani Iru? I'm going to butcher these names. I'm so sorry. But this is a book that really came heavy onto the scene this year, and I also own Falling Stars, which is the second one. It says, I defy the stars. In a world ruled by the stars, cruel and merciless gods that watch over the world, Alara has been cursed by fate, a prophecy that promises she will fall for a star and it will kill them both. But when one descends to wreak havoc on Alara's kingdom, she is forced to flee into the arms of her enemy in the neighboring country. As she learns more about her own magic and the depth of the star's deceit, she finds herself also learning more about the country she takes refuge in, and the enemy prince forced to train her into a weapon. Something dark brews within her, a power made of night and shadows that beg to be broken free. I know this is Imani's debut novel, and I've heard it's beautifully written. So 2024, I'm coming for you. So what are we on now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I believe. 10. So book number 11 we're prioritizing in 2024 is The Witch Collector by Charissa Weeks. Once again, Charissa, I apologize, but I'm going to say Charissa. So The Witch Collector by Charissa Weeks. This is the first book in the Witch Walker series. And the only thing I know about this is she's a witch. He's a witch collector. I think his job is to come and like round up all the witches, and I'm assuming he like kills them. I don't know. But I think he takes her and they have to go, I don't know. I think it's a love story. It sold me. That's all I need to know. The iconic Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I own everything Carrie Maniscalco has ever written, including the Stalking the Jack the Ripper series, or Loving the Jack the Ripper? Loving Jack the Ripper? Stalking Jack the Ripper? I think it's Stalking Jack the Ripper. I own everything she's ever written, and I really want to get into Throne of the Fallen because this was a YA fantasy series. Throne of the Fallen is in the same world, but it's adult, and I really want to go and jump into Throne of the Fallen, but I've really heard that you should read the Kingdom of the Wicked series first, so I'm going to get into this. I know nothing except for the fact that she falls for isn't he like the Prince of Hell or the King of Hell? King of Wrath? Oh wait, yeah, I think that's it. Aren't there like a series of brothers or family members and they all are like the 7 deadly sins, right? Am I making this up? Let's just read the back. 2 sisters, 1 brutal murder, a quest for vengeance that will unleash hell itself, and an intoxicating romance. Amelia and her twin sister Vittoria are stray, witches who live secretly among humans, avoiding notice and persecution. One night, Vittoria misses dinner service at the family's renowned restaurant in Sicily. Amelia soon finds the body of her beloved twin, desecrated beyond belief. This sounds dark. Jesus. Devastated, Amelia sets out to find her sister's killer and to seek vengeance at any cost, even if it means using dark magic that's been long forbidden. Then Amelia meets Wrath, one of the wicked, who are princes of hell, who she has been warned against in tales since she was a child. Wrath claims to be on Amelia's side, tasked by his master with... His master? He's a prince of hell. He's tasked by the devil? I wouldn't trust him, but... Tasked by his master with solving a series of women's murders on the island. So wait, the devil is just like, hey, go solve some murders? Okay. Well, I'm going to be obsessed with it. We all know that. So there you go. I'm going to read Kingdom of the Wicked in 2024. I actually think this might be one of my first reads after I finish my TBR. So I might even get to it at the end of this year, but definitely prioritizing this one. The next book I do actually own several copies of. However, the actual regular copy is buried at the bottom of a pile of like 12 books, and I'm just too lazy to go get it out. And then I could swear that I bought a signed special edition copy from Barnes & Noble, but for some reason, I can't put my fingers on it right now. I know it's probably staring straight at me on the shelves, and I'm just glossing over it and not seeing it right now, but I also do have it on my Kindle. So this series that I want to get into is Aragon by Christopher Paolini. So Aragon, I believe, is a middle grade series. Correct me if it's YA, but I believe it's middle grade. And I know nothing about it, but listen, ever since I was little, this dragon cover has been everywhere. I know this is like a massive, I think Aragon is like right on the same level as like Percy Jackson and Hunger Games. It was that popular. I never read it. Like I said, when I was reading the first Hunger Games, and similar to Percy Jackson, that was like, I'm a little old for that. That was like a little bit after my time. I was like Harry Potter girl. And then Percy Jackson and Hunger Games and stuff became popular after, and I was just a little bit older, and I was already like completely absorbed into Harry Potter. But I believe Aragon is from the similar time period. And it says, let's see. When 15-year-old Aragon finds a polished blue stone in the forest, he thinks it's the lucky discovery of a poor farm boy. But when the stone brings a dragon hatchling, Aragon soon realizes he has stumbled upon a legacy nearly as old as the Empire itself. Overnight, his simple life is shattered, and gifted with only an ancient sword, a loyal dragon, and a sage advice from an old storyteller, Aragon is soon swept into a dangerous tapestry of magic, glory, and power. Now his choices could save or destroy the Empire. And I know that even though this is an older series, I believe a new one just released literally like a week or 2 ago. So I'm really excited to get into this because I feel super behind on this. And I just recently read Hunger Games and loved it. So I'm sitting here kind of like in my what have I been missing era. So definitely going to get to this one in 2024. After Aragon, I want to prioritize, well, I mean, these are in no particular order, but after Aragon on this list, I'm not guaranteeing I'm reading them in this particular order, but you get what I'm saying. After Aragon, I want to get into To Bleed a Crystal Bloom by Sarah A. Parker. This is the stunningly beautiful edition by Page and Wick, which is a new subscription service. Every 2 months, right now they're bi-monthly, but every 2 months you get a gorgeous special edition and a candle that goes along with it. And the candle that came with this one is actually, it's called Jar of Bluebells. It's up on my window. I already burned that one. I have the last month's, or the last edition's candle right here. I'm burning it right now. This one is for Sword of Kaigen, which is right here. But this is called Mount Takayubi, The Edge of an Empire. And the one that went along with To Bleed a Crystal Bloom was Jar of Bluebells. And oh my God, I burned that thing in like 3 days. It smelled so delicious. And this edition is absolutely stunning. I don't know if you could see this. Whoops, that was her signature. How beautiful. They have only released 2 books so far, but oh my God, the artwork and the quality on this book is absolutely insane. So it says, what a pretty flower to keep locked away in a big rocky tower. It says, 19 years ago, I was plucked from the heart of a bloody massacre that spared nobody else. Small, fragile, an enigma. Now ward to a powerful high master who knows too much and says too little, I lead a simple life, never straying from the confines of an imaginary line I've drawn around the castle grounds. Stay within, never leave. Out there, the monsters lurk. Inside, I'm safe, though at a cost far greater than the blood I drip into a goblet daily. Toxic, unreciprocated love for a man who's utterly unavailable. My savior, my protector, my almost executioner. I can't help but be enamored with the arcane man who holds the power to pull my roots from the ground. When voracious beasts spill across the land and threaten to fray the fabric of my tailored existence, the petals of reality will peel back to reveal an ugly truth. But in a castle puddled with secrets, none are greater than the one I've kept for myself. No tower is tall enough to protect me from the horror that tore my life to shreds. I'm sorry, what? Stunning and sounds amazing, so definitely going to get to Bleed a Crystal Bloom in 2024. Okay, this is actually one that I just got in the last couple of days. It's an older book. I know there's 3 in the series so far, I think, released yet. And I have the second and the third in the same editions on order, but I don't think they come out for like 6 months or so. But this is House of Beating Wings by Olivia Wildenstein. This is the special edition by Bookish Box. And like I said, I do have the second and third on order. I know nothing about, this is about crows. Are they like shapeshifters into crows? I don't know, and I don't really want to know, but it says, free the 5 iron crows and you will be queen. Does she fall in love with a shape-shifting crow? I don't know, but this version is stunningly gorgeous. Like I said, this is Bookish Boxes, and I don't know if you guys have ever bought a Bookish box, but this thing is a brick. Like, this is heavy. Look at, can we for 1 second just appreciate how gorgeous the artwork on this book is? Oh my God, look at the paper. Look at the chapter pages. Oh, it's signed by the author. Oh my God, look at this. Just like stunning edition. Look at the naked cover. Oh God, as I drop it. With the reverse dust jacket. Just an absolutely stunning edition. It says, you little bird belong to the sky, and that the sky, it belongs to me. Interesting. I don't know. Does it say anything on the front? It says something in a language that is not English. I think she lives in Paris. Wow, that's pretty interesting. But House of Beating Wings, definitely want to prioritize it.
Public announcement. Hi. Make sure to subscribe to Mr. MC and Icy. And unsubscribe from this channel. So we get millions of subscribers and hours of watch time.
Did you just move my camera?
No. It's good. I moved it back. Subscribe to Mr. MC and Icebreaker. Can they hear me? Or is your mic detached? Is this the mic?
They're not gonna hear you because I'm gonna cut this out.
Don't cut that out.
I'm gonna cut it out and you're a pain in my butt. So the second gremlin of my 2 gremlins came down here and proceeded to kick my camera. So if I'm at a slightly different angle, I apologize. But the next book is yet another iconic book with a cult following that I am so late on and that I own the entire series of, but yet have never gotten to. This is Guild by Raven Kennedy. This is the first book in the Plated Prisoner series, and this is the Fairy Loot Special Edition. I own this one in Guild. Glint and Gleam, I think, are the other 2. And I don't think Fairy Loot has put out the rest of the series, but the rest of the series is on my Kindle. And I do think I own a couple of them in just like the regular edition. But From what I know about this book, this is a King Midas retelling where anything he touches turns to gold. And I think he ends up turning her into gold and she's like his prized possession or something. I don't want to know too much, but it says, it's the arrogance of men to think so little of women and it will be their downfall. This is the story of King Midas, or that's what we're always told. The golden king with his palace of riches and me, the girl he turned to gold. I was on to something. Upon the snowy mountains in the sixth kingdom of Aurea, I'm locked away in High Bell Castle, away from the dangers of the world below. No one can get in apart from him. King Midas rescued me from the streets. He gave me food, shelter, and his heart. I promised to love him forever. But when war comes to the kingdom, a deal is struck and I am at the heart of the bargain. What are they doing up there? You know what they're doing? They're moving the furniture to play their stupid game. I guarantee you they're moving all the furniture out of the room so that they can play their silly game. But anyways, this edition is absolutely gorgeous. I hesitate to say I'm going to specifically read this. I'll probably stick to it on my Kindle just because, oh my God, the art. Just because I never want to screw up these special editions, but look at the artwork. Like, are you kidding? I would be devastated if I damaged this. What does it say? I'm the gold-plated prisoner, but what a pretty prison it is. How stunningly gorgeous. And listen, not for nothing, how beautiful is Miss Raven Kennedy? She's beautiful too. Wow. Anyways, definitely want to get to Guild. Next is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I have not read Caraval, which is so crazy because, like, this is an older series and everybody's obsessed with these books, but I own, once again, we're sensing a theme, I own the entire series, plus the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I am absolutely refusing to dig into those books until I have read Caraval Legendary and Finale, because I've heard there are spoilers and I want to know the full backstory because I think I'm going to be obsessed. So this is the first edition, I believe, of Caraval. I do have them all in hardcover, which I was really, really lucky to find. I felt like I really scored when I found those. And it says, if you ever wanted to step into a living dream, here's your ticket. Admit one to be used once to gain entrance into Caraval. Main gates close at midnight. Anyone who arrives later than this will not participate or win this year's prize of one wish. I believe this is about a night circus, like a magical circus that comes every single year. And I believe our main character's sister goes missing and she suspects that she ran away with the circus and she goes to find her. I'm probably so off base. I purposely know next to nothing, but I have heard Stephanie Garber's writing is lyrical, beautiful, gorgeous, and I'm so excited to jump into Caraval. I also definitely want to make sure I prioritize Belladonna by Adeline Grace. Once again, no next to nothing. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and I just have to show you guys how beautiful this book is. This is the naked cover. Like, are we kidding? So I actually did have the Fairy Loot special editions of Belladonna and the sequel Foxglove, and I sold them. I had a friend who really, really loved them. She could have them. So I did sell them, but the Barnes & Noble editions are so beautiful that I didn't even really care. I believe this book is about a girl who, like, everyone who gets close to her ends up dying, I think. And then she goes to, like, befriend death or something, or, like, confront death about why that happens. Don't want to know anything more about that, but I've heard it's like a gothic fantasy, and I've never actually branched too much into gothic writing, so I'm really excited to get into it. How many times can I say I'm really excited to read it? One can assume that if it's on this list, I'm excited to read it, but it is what it is. Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is the first in the Grishaverse. Is that what the actual series is called? The Shadow and Bone trilogy, but I believe the entire overarching world is called the Grishaverse. And once again, this is similar to Caraval. This is a series that I want to read because I want to get into Six of Crows. But I've heard that if you read Six of Crows first, there's spoilers for this series. So I'm just kind of like to read things in chronological order. So I definitely want to get into Shadow and Bone. And this one's going to be interesting for me because I've heard this isn't her strongest work and that Six of Crows is actually much better than Shadow and Bone. So it says, soldier, summoner, saint, orphaned and expendable, Alina Starkov is a soldier who knows she may not survive her first trek across the Shadowfold, a swath of unnatural darkness crawling with monsters. But when her regiment is attacked, Alina unleashes dormant magic not even she knew she possessed. Now Alina will enter a lavish world of royalty and intrigue as she trains with the Grisha, her country's magical military elite, and falls under the spell of her notorious leader, the Darkling. He believes Alina can summon a force capable of destroying the Shadowfold and reuniting their war-ravaged country, but only if she can master her untamed gift. As the threat to the kingdom mounts and Alina unlocks the secrets of her past, she will make a dangerous discovery that could threaten all she loves and the very future of a nation. See, that sounds awesome to me. I believe this is YA. Oh, wow. And the writing's actually really, really big. So I guarantee you I could finish this pretty quickly. So, Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Next up is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. Emily McIntyre has written an entire series. I know there's like Hooked, Scarred, Crossed, all of that good stuff, of dark romances where the villain actually ends up getting the girl at the end. So the villain of all of your fairy tale romances ends up getting the girl. And actually, I've been following her on Instagram as well, and she's currently going through stage 4 cancer treatment. So, Emily, we're thinking of you. I wish you nothing but the best. I hope you're feeling better. I know it was rough for a while, but I hope you're feeling better. And I can't wait to get into your series. Hooked is actually a Peter Pan retelling, and I believe... What's his name? John? James. I believe James is actually Hook, and she falls for him. I don't know. But I'm excited to read about, like, it's interesting that the villain gets the girl, right? Because in all of these stories, the villains are villainized. And in these, I believe they do end up being dark. They are pretty graphic, but the villain ends up getting the girl. So, God, I have such mixed feelings about this next one because it was 100% not even close call, my most anticipated release of 2023. And I had planned on like wiping my entire next week after it came out to read it. And in the first couple of days after it released, I was watching people's reviews and it was getting slaughtered. Like slaughtered. It was probably one of the most brutal new release week slaughterings that I've seen in years and years and years. People really disliked it and were so intensely connected to the first book and were so disappointed and let down by this book that it's kind of scared me off of it. Like, it's kind of removed the excitement that I had for getting this and reading this, and I think that's why I've been putting it off. But I've decided that I will never know until I read it. And since then, I think the initial shock has worn off of the first weekend of it releasing. And I have seen some more positive reviews since then. So I want to go into Iron Flame by Miss Rebecca Yarros. Fourth Wing was my favorite read of this year. My absolute favorite read of this year. 100 stars. Loved it, sucked in, can't wait to reread it. Might reread it before we go into Iron Flame. I'm not sure. And I was at the edge of my seat for this book to come out. And then it came out, and I saw people reading it, and it was like, wah, wah, wah. And kind of took the wind out of my sails a little bit. And I know that's a bad thing to say. You shouldn't let other people influence you, but like, I respect these people's opinions, and I've listened to all of your commentary. And now I'm kind of like scared to get into it because what if I'm that disappointed? Like, what if it takes me straight down from my high that was reading Fourth Wing and I hate this? Admittedly, still going to continue on and read the third one when it comes out because like Fourth Wing was that great. Like, I hope if I am disappointed in this that it was just kind of like a blip in the radar and we're going to move on to being amazing in the third one. You know, like, okay, I don't know if this is an unpopular, controversial opinion, but Stranger Things, okay? I watched the first season of Stranger Things with my husband, and my husband and I were like hooked. Like, the day that the episodes would come out, we would stay up after he got out of work and watch the episodes with bated breath. Like, it was our takeout night. It was on the calendar. Loved it. Obsessed with it. So when they announced they were going to make a second series, and then the second season, and then the second season released and we watched it and it was like, what? Was that even the same show? Like, I don't know, unpopular opinion, but I hated the second season of Stranger Things. And then when the third season came out, I was kind of like, am I even going to watch it? Because like I hated it. I hated it. And I watched the third season and it was back to being amazing. And I was like, oh, thank God. Okay, thank God. I don't know what happened in that second season. It wasn't it. But the first season and the third season were amazing. If I do end up being disappointed by this book, I'm going to continue on with the third, and I'm going to kind of just hope that it has Stranger Things syndrome, where the first one was incredible, 5-star read, mayhaps disappointed in this one, maybe, or I might love it. And then hoping that I pick up the third one and it's amazing. I am purposely absolutely refusing to read the cover, the back, anything about this book. Similar to what I was saying before, anyone who talks about this book in their videos, I go ahead and I just tap and fast forward right through that puppy because I want to know absolutely nothing about this. The way the Fourth Wing ended, I could kind of like predict where I thought it was going to go. I want to see if I'm right. We will not be reading the back of this. We will not even be looking at the back of this. We're just going to put this puppy right down here and move along. The next book. If you watched my videos, you saw that a couple of videos ago I read Magnolia Parks and loved it. I believe I gave it a 4.75. I believe I did. I believe I couldn't just like tick it right over into that 5-star just because there were certain things that like the relationship was so toxic and cringy that I just couldn't quite get to 5 stars. But it was about as close as you can physically come without ticking over to 5 stars. I loved it and the writing was amazing, and I cannot wait to prioritize Daisy Hates in January of 2024. I am definitely going to try to work this onto our spin wheel TBR challenge. Like if we get the prompt wheel, I'm going to be looking for reasons to add this book because I am so excited. I actually really found Daisy, the character Daisy, really intriguing in Magnolia Parks. I liked her. She was kind of like a bitch. And for me, I was like, why? Like, what's her story? Like, what's up with her? Why does she hate Magnolia so much and doesn't even really know her? So this book does center on Daisy, and I can't wait to read her story. Also, if you know anything about the old covers of Magnolia Parks, you know that these are some of the most stunning covers, in my opinion, in the book world. And every single cover has multitudes of things relating to the story on the cover, but this cover is like an absolute fever dream. I don't know if you can see that. I'll actually put up a bigger picture here, but I'm sitting here being like, if these things relate to the story, like guns, tigers, Italian flags, a cross with the crucifixion on it, like what in the ever living hell is happening? And like, how can all these things work their way into a Magnolia Parks book? I don't know, but I want to find out in 2024. Okay, book number 23 of our 24 books is The Crown of Oaths and Curses. Wait. The Crowns of Oaths and Curses. I feel like I talked about novellas before Blood Mercy. And I'm realizing now I'm second guessing myself, and I believe the novellas Scepter and Sword go before this book. Let's look this up. Let's look this up. Let's see. Scepter and Sword. I actually think I have Scepter on my Kindle Unlimited right now. Hold on. Where is it? Let's go to Crown of Oaths and Curses. Am I making, which one is this from? I think I'm thinking correctly that these novellas go to this book. It is. Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay, wait. Yes, I did just confirm. The Scepter and the Sword are the novellas that go before The Crown of Oaths and Curses, not Blood Mercy. So, disregard everything that I said. But the weirdest thing about that is, remember how I told you I found out after I purchased the book that there were 2 novellas that went before it? Well, that's exactly what happened here when I found out after I bought the book. But the weirdest part about it is these 2 little novellas before this book are like hidden. They're like secrets. I don't even know how you're supposed to know that, because even when you go to this book and you look at Jay Bree's work list, they're not there. You have to like dig deep into her works to finally find these books, which have no association with this book. So I don't know how you were supposed to know that they go along with this book. Maybe that's more just like people who have read it say read them first, but there are 2 novellas. These are the ones that I was talking about with Blood Mercy. They don't go with Blood Mercy, disregard. They go with A Crown of Oaths and Curses. So there are the Scepter and the Sword. And you're supposed to read those before this book. The Scepter is number 1, the Sword is number 2, and then you go into The Crowns of Oaths and Curses by Jay Bray. This is the same author who wrote the Broken Bond series, which I also want to get into. But it says, I devoted my life to a king who was not my own. On the road to ultimate honor and glory, I lost everything. Now in a world ravaged by the whims of those who rule, I must turn my back on a lifetime of friendships and loyalties to face my own fate, the Savage Prince. Heir to the high fae throne of the southern lands, he is known for his brutality and cold heart. But with the kingdom on the brink of ruin, I have no choice but to seek him out. The war between the fae and the witches rages, and there's no end in sight. My destiny is clear. Help the prince defeat his enemies before it's too late. One small problem. I am Rooksbane Evening Star. The favored child returns, a witch of the woods, the greatest enemy of my fated blessed mate. I believe I've heard from people that this is extreme slow burn. So sometimes that isn't my favorite trope, but I'm excited to get into this. Okay, last but certainly not least is a book I am so hyped on. I cannot wait. Once again, similar to Kingdom of the Wicked and Caraval and Daisy Hates, I'm going to be looking for any reason to try to squeeze this onto my January TBR. So hopefully that prompt wheel gives me some prompts that I can fit this in for. But Trial of the Sun Queen by Nisha J. Tooley, I believe is how you pronounce her name. This is the Midnight Whispers special edition of this book. I don't know if you could see how stunningly beautiful that foiling is, but it's even on the back. Look at how gorgeous that cover is. So this, I believe, has like Bachelor vibes to it. It says, I've experienced 12 years of torment only to be kidnapped by the Sun King to compete against 9 other tributes who resent my presence and will stop at nothing to wipe me off the game board permanently. Now I must win, because if I lose, I'll die, or worse, I'll be sent back into the hands of the Aurora King. I have heard amazing things about this book. This edition is absolutely beautiful. It is signed by Nisha Tooley. And I am so, oh my God. That is one of the most stunning maps I think I have ever seen. How beautiful. I'm so excited to get into this because I've heard amazing things. And that's it, guys. That is 24 books that I want to prioritize in 2024. I think I'm going to finish the year at around 80 books this year. So saying that I want to try to squeeze in these 24, I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. It is definitely a lot of books, but these are long overdue. Which of these books have you read and think that I should keep on my list? And also comment down below what your favorite book of 2023 was, because maybe, just maybe, I might have to change my priorities list a little bit and look into some of the books you're telling me to read. So with that being said, please comment a sun emoji for Trial of the Sun Queen below. And as always, go ahead and do all the YouTube-y things, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.